right. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever you're watching or listening to this. Welcome to Geek Vibes Nation. I'm your content manager, Tia Fabi, and I have with me composer Andrew Gordon Macpherson. I hope I pronounced that right. Who is joining me today to talk about Into the Void, Hulu's eight-part documentary series on heavy metal. How are you doing today?
Awesome to you. Thanks for having me.
I love that you have the guitar in the background. We're really solidifying that we're talking about music today.
It's even worse than a guitar. It's a bass.
Ah, that just shows how little I know. But now I'm looking at the strings and I'm like, okay, that looks like a bass, as if like I know much, but it's like I spent most of my teenage years, I think, glorifying Nikki Six from Motley
Okay.
Crue. So I should know this.
I mean, he was glorified heavily in the 90s. I guess were you in I
So
grew up I was in high school in the late 90s, and him and Tommy Lee were uh had all this celebrity outside of Motley Crue that was pervasive.
So just to give you like a background on myself, I was born in 1990, so I'm 35. I was in high school from 2004 to 2008, and I was one of those people that definitely said I was born in the wrong era because I did not like any of the music that was coming out at the time. I grew up listening to my dad's like Aerosmith records, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses. So when I got the email for this interview, I jumped on it because I was like, heavy metal, let's talk about this. And obviously the show was filmed, I'm sure, what, like a year or so ago, probably. So not at the time during Ozzy Osbourne's death, Ace Frehley's passing, but how does that feel that Into the Void is out right now, kind of during this moment where we're seeing these legends in the rock and roll industry unfortunately pass away?
Um yeah, I mean it's heavy. Well, heavy is the obvious and this silly word to use to describe that, but um, you know, I think the very last thing they shot for the series was the interview with Sharon Osbourne for the Randy Rhodes episode, and it was the week of the farewell show.
Mm,
Um, and there, I think that Ozzy was also interested in being involved, but just in preparations for the show, it just didn't. I don't know if it happened. I'm not really all over all of that stuff, so I'm not sure. But um, it was very weird timing that he had his farewell show and he passed away a week later, and then I think our show came out a week or 2 weeks after that or something, or was
yeah,
announced.
well,
Maybe it was announced and then it came out a few weeks after that, but. Yeah, and then the yeah, Ace Frehley just passed a couple days ago, and also John Otto, the bass, I think his name is the bass player
from Limp
for
Bizkit,
from
right?
Limp Bizkit, just passed away.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, heavy metal is, I mean, heavy metal never dies, but you know, we're we're forced to reckon with that a little bit over the course of these episodes and also just the headlines.
Yeah, absolutely. The timing is just kind of like, wow. Especially when you look at their ages. I mean, in my mind, being in your 70s isn't that old. So I'm like, come on, guys, we needed a few more decades of this. But um Into the Void is just like this wonderful, like, thing for metal that I feel as if, Ozzy's farewell tour, I think at least on the social media side, kind of reignited people's like love for metal, or at least appreciation that I haven't seen in a long time. So I liked getting into the Void. I liked the nitty grittiness of it. Why don't you walk me through kind of how you even got involved in this project?
I'll do that in 1 second, but I just realized that I need to issue a retraction, which is John Otto is the drummer of Limp Bizkit, who has not passed
Okay.
away. It's
You're
Sam
like
Rivers.
you're like, let me make sure that I get this right.
Sam Rivers, rest in peace,
Yes.
the bass player for Limp Bizkit. Limp Bizkit is a little bit after my time, and to be honest, like the only new metal band that I like truly loved was like Deftones, I guess.
Yeah.
And but so I apologize to all of the Limp Bizkit community for
All
that
cancel. Now we're canceled because of
for
this.
that yeah, for that terribly disrespectful fumble this like 2 days after Sam Rivers passed away. So anyway, back to your question, how did I get involved with this project? Well, the creators of the show are Jason Eisner and Evan Husney, the two brilliant filmmakers behind the series Dark Side of the Ring, which I also am the composer on. We've done 60 episodes of that, as well as two spin-offs together, which is 70, wait, 70, almost 75
Oh wow.
hour-long documentaries about pro wrestling. Um, Jason Eisner is from Nova Scotia, where I hail from as well, and we were in the same film school, although he was a year older than me. And then years later, we were kindled as I was his assistant editor, picture editor for a brief time, but also helping him in the development sort of process on some of his projects, whether that's just like making a little bit of trailer music or just hanging out and bouncing ideas off of each other. And that kind of led to Dark Side of the Ring getting greenlit, and that was the first series that I scored. I've also done a feature film called Kids versus Aliens with Jason. Um, Ever since Dark Side of the Ring had a little bit of success, we have kind of uh, brainstormed about how we could or how they could adapt this sort of style that they created for Dark Side of the Ring to specifically heavy metal. And as a teenager, I was a huge heavy metal fan, and we for a long time, and I'm talking this is 4 or 5 years ago when we started talking about this. Um, just imagine what it would be like to do a Dimebag Darrel episode and a Randy Rhodes episode, and talk about the Judas Priest and the Satanic Panic uh, and lots of other stories from that world that you could probably guess. And it's just the idea and that never died. And um, you know, uh, eventually, sort of Hulu stepped in. I think they were a fan of Dark Side of the Ring and wondered like what else Jason and Evan might be interested in doing, and they pitched them that, and they loved it. So here we are. But yeah, it's just hopefully the next in a long collaboration between me and Jason and Evan.
Absolutely. By the way, sorry, my dog just picked exactly this moment to start barking at the door. So very much apologize about that. That's very cool though. You have this like relation with Jason because of Dark Side of the Ring, then you get involved into the Void. Um, it's funny you mentioned the Judas Priest Satanic Panic. That is the episode that I literally just finished watching before hopping on here. And I remember kind of hearing about that case. I don't know if you ever watched like I Love the 80s, I Love the 90s back in the day. And so I believe in one of those shows they spoke about it, but it was more interesting actually diving in further into that. It kind of sounds unfair to ask if there's like a favorite episode or case that you enjoyed from this show.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to pick your favorite child, you know. I will say that like um so the Dimebag Darrel episode is close to my heart. I was because as a teenager, one wall of my bedroom was all
Pantera.
Dimebag Darrel and Pantera posters that I cut out of either Guitar World or like Hit
Love that.
Parader magazine. And so I was learning to play guitar like with those guys. But if you had to look on like one of the other walls, you would see Ozzy and Black Sabbath and his various guitarists, including Randy Rhodes, Jakey Lee, Zach Wild. Um, And so out of the gate, I was most excited about those because I knew the most about them and they had the biggest impact in my life before we started. The um, the stories that are sort of, or the one that was the most surprising to me because I didn't really know anything about it was the episode about Confess, which
Hmm.
is the Iranian metal band
Right.
that they discover basically in Iran, they discover a bootleg System of a Down CD, and they decide that heavy metal is their life, and they create a metal band, the two of them, and they speak out against the atrocities and things that they're seeing under their regime, and ultimately get arrested and sort of disappeared for blasphemy.
Yeah.
And so they're held for I think it's a couple of years, and then are sort of let out briefly on a technicality due to some like mounting societal pressure because of a campaign done by an American college radio uh, host who is familiar with them and their music. And then they flee the country. They get smuggled out of the country illegally and get refugee status in Norway, where they restart their band and are sort of bigger and better than ever. And that story just I thought was just it was mind blowing to witness and hear it this way and told this way for the first time, and also like be a part of it as far as composing the music for it. So that one was one that is near and dear to my heart that I came to the show with no context on.
That definitely was like the most surprising episode because if you maybe you weren't familiar with them and their story, that was like a learning experience. Whereas maybe of the other episodes you have some sort of experience with, also just shows like, I don't know, you, like going back to Judas Priest episode where it's like the satanic panic, but I've always viewed metal in this like great expression. And you can see that in the episode with the Iranian metal group, just like how that kind of like inspired them. And System of a Down is great. They're like, I think, my favorite new metal bands. But so for like episodes like that, or in all the episodes, did was it challenging to score those episodes? Maybe not having as much of an experience with their music and their story as say the others.
Well, none of the episodes I was, 100% trying to I was trying to do my own thing and I was trying to let the music of the bands featured stand on its own and not be kind of a bad cover band. That said, I did try to sort of uh pay homage or adapt, certain guitar tones or stylistic things and incorporate it into the score and the feel of the score. Uh so, you know, it it wasn't that it was more challenging because I had overall the whole series I had to kind of figure out what my own unique take on cinematic ambient heavy metal
Yeah.
for a doc series sounds like, and then in the places where I could give a little wink and a nod to specific music production or sounds of the bands I would and incorporate it into what I was doing, and the ones that I didn't I tried to figure out how I could, and I think we landed on something that hopefully heavy metal fans uh, can recognize is in the palette and the taste of heavy metal, but it is also does the job of helping tell the story.
It definitely did. And for like context, right? You are probably the second composer that I've ever spoken to. So I'm wildly ignorant on like the process. So what goes into it? Are you literally creating music? Are you like, just walk me through that and also our audience.
Yeah, so the process is I get the episode, an edit of the episode, and I watch it and I make notes of stuff that I think is cool and how I want to approach it. Partially um, from a stylistic point of view, but also from a storytelling point of view. Um, how I want to push and direct the images and the story and how I can do that with music. Then I have a either a spotting session or just a phone call with Jason and Evan. A spotting session is just you watch it and you talk about where the music goes
Mm,
and what your ideas are, and that can either be referencing other music or other movies, or it can be uh, talking about what you like or dislike about what is happening in the edit. But then from there, I have a pretty quick turnaround. Usually, I do a whole episode in about a week,
oh.
and yeah, I'm creating original music from scratch to uh, fill in all of these musical gaps that are between sort of needle drops of the famous music that people know, and that's usually to sort of augment the story of the humans that we're talking to, not all of whom are heavy metal rock stars. Some of them are family members and friends and lawyers and uh, other officials. um, but yeah, just I try and come up with uh, like a fashion designer, like sort of my what is what is the style of this show, and I codify that by thinking, like, to me style is like limitation. It's just like this season's color palette or these three colors and these two fabrics or whatever, and
Mm,
like scoring, it's like, okay, this is uh sometimes it's like this is a piano and acoustic guitar show, sometimes this is a European style orchestral arrangement show. Sometimes it's 80s synthesizers and drum machines. Um, and so like kind of the the design part of it is like figuring out, what is our color story this season and what is our or for this episode. And so I kind of have a overarching attack plan for the how the music is going to sound, and then per episode I have specific uh, things that I add in. So like across the whole season, something that I leaned into was like the idea of sort of orchestral string arrangements, but not played by orchestral string instruments, but
mm,
played by um, like feedback guitar, uh, like when a guitar is pushed to max volume. You've heard it lots of times at rock shows, but you get all these harmonics that are kind of unexpected. And so if you just write how you would write a string section, but then sort of uh, let these notes loose in a feedback context, you get all these extra artifacts and this swell and this like thing that is beautiful and evocative of cinema in some way, but is also has an edge that heavy metal does. So that's something that's kind of an idea that I painted across the whole season. But then we talked about this Judas Priest episode, which talks about backmasking and subliminal messages. So you may have noticed in the score, there's like guitars that are in reverse and other instruments where I've, you know, uh, wrote a part, reversed it, learned it backwards, recorded it, and then reverse that so that the part is it it has that sort of vacuum suck of a backwards uh, thing, but it's still playing the melody that I want it to play, and drums and percussion that are forwards and backwards and down three octaves, and so trying to like play with the whole idea of backmasking and subliminal messages. Backmasking, by the way, is in this trial of Judas Priest that is featured in the episode. the idea that there are satanic messages that are recorded in reverse and added to the music, which you know uh, the in the trial they're trying to prove as the cause of these uh, two young men's attempted and successful suicide. Um, but yeah, so that's the approach to actually creating all of the music, and
Oh.
then it goes to Jason and Evan, who drop it in and they look at it and they tell me what they like and what they don't like and what needs to change and what doesn't, and I do that and I mix it and I send it back to them and they put it in the episode, and then I go on to the next one and do it until the show is done.
And you said you pretty much like turned every episode around like within a week, right? So
Yeah.
when you were giving it to Jason and Evan, I'm assuming that like there wasn't like a whole lot of, oh, we want to change this and everything. Sounds like they pretty much were like, no, you're solid, that makes sense, let's keep going, unless you were just working like all 24 hours.
I mean, Jason and Evan and I have like, these were our, 65th to 75th ish movies we've done together. So we definitely have a shorthand, and I know what they like, and they know what I like, or not what I like, but what I can do, I guess. Um, and so that helps, and but also, um, we spend a lot more time on the first episode. Because anytime you're like creating a new show, you create the sort of template or the pilot. Um, and so that episode, we went back and forth a little bit more on honing in exactly what that sort of like master style was going to be like. And then from there, it's a lot easier to uh, uh, to generate a lot of iterations on that idea, even if they have these uh, subtle adaptations per episode. So when I say I do every episode in a week, that is including the notes and the delivery. So I I write everything. I write a really rough sketch of everything in about a day and a half. I make notes to myself. I go and execute the notes to within what I think is acceptable sort of limitations, um, and pass it over to them for their gut check. And then I start preemptively mixing and uh, printing everything, as I call it, which is like you have to create all of these sub mixes of stems of
Mm.
these are all the guitar parts, this is all the bass parts, this is all the strings, this is all the and then usually they get back to me within a day, and I make any sort of adjustments that need to get made, and either send them back for final approval or deliver it to the post production people. So it's very fast, and and it's a lot of work, and like I I've I've I'm a lot faster at it, and I've gotten a lot better at it in over the course of my career, I guess, or and doing all these films with them, so that I can actually manage to do it on that sort of timeline.
It's to me, it sounds like a lot. It would probably take me like a year just to do one episode. So uh it's really dope. But
I think when I did the first Dark Side of the Ring episode, it like took a couple months to like get the to, but you know, uh, like anything, it's practice makes perfect.
yeah, absolutely. So I mean, so you did the 8 episodes for Into the Void. Do you know if there's any like talk in continuing that? I mean, certainly there's so many more, things that they could speak about in heavy metal alone, and then if you wanted to expand like the larger rock and roll, mythos and everything, you could certainly do that. Has there been any talks about that?
I mean, internally we talk about it all the time, and we
Uh,
love to do this and that, and yeah, I Hulu and the greater sort of Disney organization now, I'm sure, are playing it very close to the chest and seeing chest close to the vest, and they'll look at the numbers and sort of at some point we'll find out one way or the other, but you know, anyone who's hearing this, if you're a metal fan, keep those episodes on loop and and
no,
keep
I hope
tweeting
so.
and stuff, because there are like some really awesome potential episodes to be made still,
Yeah,
that that
100%. I mean, metal is awesome, and it's like I feel as if for years it's kind of gone away. So to see, like, again with the Ozzy Osbourne's farewell tour, to see social media, people coming back almost, and "Oh, I love this," and it just makes me happy because that's the type of music I enjoy. So it's like, then in conjunction with this documentary, it's like, let's get more metal. Um, so that would be cool if people are watching and listening. Keep watching Into the Void on Hulu. Andrew, you also, from what I saw on Wikipedia, you could correct me if I'm wrong, are you still playing with your band right now? Or am I like completely off on that?
uh I'm not in a full-time music project other than scoring right now. I played in a lot of bands in my sort of like 20s and toured around and played with various electronic artists and stuff. Um, the I did play a couple shows in the last year on bass, actually,
Nice.
for an artist named Brendan Phillip, who's I produced his record, and it's kind of like a psychedelic rock meets
Ooh.
psychedelic soul kind of project. And we put together a show earlier this year to sort of perform that with some members of a Toronto band called OBGMs. And that was super fun. And I I had kind of like gotten burnt out, to be honest, from touring,
Mm.
and I love being in the studio and making stuff, and honestly, that's like kind of since I was a teenager where my heart has been, is like actually doing the producing part of it.
Right.
Um, and it's only been, I guess it's 6 or 7-ish years where this has been my full-time thing of just making music for TV shows, movies, video games, sort of full time. And I love it. And it, I also have a toddler now and stuff. So it's hard to jump on a plane and go play a couple shows over a weekend every weekend, or get in a van for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and do that stuff anymore. But I miss playing live sometimes for sure. And I've I've been trying to figure out a way that I could perform some of my scores. And I don't know in what context yet. I mean, I've gone to see John Carpenter live, and I've gone to
Mm.
see Johnny Jewel live, and some of these other sort of other synthy composers that I love, and Tangerine Dream live. And I don't know if it would be exactly like that, but yeah, hopefully at some point I get to uh, perform some Dark Side of the Ring and some Into the Void music in a different context.
Just bring your kid with you, you know? And uh,
She came to sound check for this show I did with Brendan, and she's very excited.
I love that.
She really, I think she really wants to be a drummer. Uh,
Oh, okay. I
so
like that. A female drummer, especially though, is very dope. Um, I've been so one of the reasons why I had to, this is a little background information on it. One of the reasons why I had to postpone our original interview. So I am currently 9 months pregnant, dealing with all the wonderful stuff that comes with that and everything. And I've been trying as I'm driving to always like blast in my mind the right type of music to make sure that he comes out as a heavy metal fan. But
Hey, congrats. That's yeah. Is it your first?
yes,
Congrats. I
thank you.
mean, it's a wild and wonderful journey you're going on.
Yeah, my husband and I
Uh
are very excited. So, and I'm like into metal. He's into EDM. He actually produces his own music as well. So it's like, I feel like, there's going to be like an interesting combination of music taste there.
I when my daughter was born, I only played Motown and the Beatles for her for the first like 3 months, I think.
Okay.
And because I for me that's the uh this is music 101. It's not music 101, but it's like popular music
Right.
101, and you need this as a foundation or something. And I convinced myself that, oh, she really likes the same Marvin Gaye songs that I like or something. And I play them for her now, and I don't think she has any recollection of ever hearing it. It's just she kids have a weird thing with music and what is in the zeitgeist, like the K-pop Demon Hunter song.
Oh,
Uh, like I we haven't even watched the movie yet. It's a bit too old for her, but she came home from daycare and knew all the words somehow. And I was like,
God.
you guys listening to K-pop Demon Hunters at school?" But she knows it. She knows it front to
Oh,
back, and
God.
we listen to that all of the time. And like this is very different than the like Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Temptations records and Beatles records I was playing for you in your crib.
Hopefully she'll get into that as she gets older, but that's hilarious. Yeah, we'll see, but Andrew, I always like to offer the people who I'm interviewing, like at the end of the interview, the chance to kind of promote yourself. What's a new project that you're hoping people tune into? Do you have social media that you'd like to promote? Just kind of letting people know where to, see you next.
Yeah, so I mean, as we were speaking about, Into the Void is on Hulu now, just dropped about a little under a month ago, I guess. Go check it out. They are incredible films, regardless of what you think of the score. I think they're amazing stories and brilliantly told by my genius collaborators, Jason and Evan, and I hope we get to make many more. And Dark Side of the Ring as well. Season 6 wrapped up earlier this year, so there's if you've not watched that, that's sort of true crime-ish stories in the world of pro wrestling, um, which is the number one show in the history of Vice. And so, whether you're a pro wrestling fan or not, there's like just really mind-blowing and crazy stories there. I'm on Instagram, Ango_composer, ANGO, which is just short for Andrew Gordon. And angomusic.com is my website where you can hear some of that stuff. And also, if you want to hear a lot of my stuff, or you have a bunch of studying to do, or a long drive, or something, the kind folks at Dark Side of the Ring have been posting all of my scores
Oh,
from Dark
nice.
Side of the Ring on YouTube to be consumed for free. So if you go to Dark Side of the Ring soundtrack, there's playlists for each of the episodes, but there's one master playlist that they're updating with all of them that currently has like over 500 songs in it, I think.
Oh, wow.
And there's still a couple seasons left that they have to update. So if you want to hear uh, almost everything I've ever written, it's in one playlist there, and I think it's over 24 hours long.
Okay.
But
That's a good road trip, you know?
uh, you know, uh, it's it's but it's very very intense music, very sad music, some very fun music. It runs the gamut of sort of styles from film history as well as music history, and says because every episode of Dark Side of the Ring is a bit of a different genre. So check it out.
Yeah. please make sure you check it out. We actually do have a huge pro wrestling fan base. So I'm sure people have even seen Dark Side of the Ring who are watching this. So yeah, please make sure you check that out. Make sure you check out Into the Void. Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me, even though I thought we were speaking a lot earlier. I thought you were like going to be rolling out of bed and coming in and be like, "Oh my God, why does this girl want to talk so early?" But thankfully, we're both on the same time
I
zone.
mean, to be fair, my daughter woke up at 5:30 a.m. this morning, so I would have already had a coffee and a half by 8 o'clock if you wanted to do it then. So
Well,
uh, maybe that'll be more on your
yeah,
schedule next. If we do
next
this
time.
again next season, we might both be on uh, on unrelenting parenting hours.
At like 6 a.m. trying to whisper, being like, "Dear God, please let him nap." Like, I'm looking forward to it
Hey,
though.
that perfect use of the Dark Side of the Ring 500 song playlist.
It's really, yes, there you go. That'll definitely influence his music taste. But thank you again, Andrew. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, likewise. See you. Have a great one.
Thank
And good
you.
luck with everything ahead.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.